Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Young. I'm the owner and founder of Adaptive Perspective and the Adaptive Perspective social media platforms. This video continues me talking about closed-end funds and that closed-end fund investment strategy. If you want the full methodology for our 12 steps to financial freedom, then head over to Facebook and check out my page there called Adaptive Perspective, Navigate Your Finances, and I give you the whole framework for free. Reminders, this is an unedited video. Who knows what you'll hear in the background as I film these in my house. I am not a financial advisor. I am a financial strategist, and I don't speak like the herd. I walk in limited company, and sometimes I walk alone. So for a while, I've had pretty much had the same intro, or at least the same. Like, I mean, I get the stuff at the beginning, but at this point, I'm kind of giving you the same intro of why we're going the direction we're going. Sorry, the cats are playing games again. Um, and I'm going to change that a little bit. So why closed-end funds or why CEFs? Okay, first, you want to watch the CEF videos I've already posted, and that'll explain if you're new to my videos or if you're just new to closed-end funds. But then also, if you don't know or if you haven't realized, we self-manage a closed-end fund only portfolio on Webull. And the the best maybe synopsis I can for why we use Webull. I researched options, and it was the best platform recommended for beginners, and it's a pretty user-friendly interface. They continually adapt. They challenge me to learn their new system, but overall, it really is a pretty easy investment platform, and I like it. So why closed-end funds? Discounts. Everybody likes a discount. Do you want to pay full price or get a discount? Do you want to pay a premium? Which you can get closed-end funds at premiums or like above value cost, right? But everybody likes a discount. So why not get your stocks at a discount? You get cheaper buy-in. You get great dividends. I mean, some pay nothing, others pay way too much. Going average right now is about 8.5 on overall yield. You get fund appreciation. Inflation has pretty much made everybody depreciate, depending on where you started at. Uh, but there is fund appreciation, but it's also you get inbuilt diversity. Closed-end funds are like a mutual fund, except they pay better, and it's a closed system. Mutual funds, just like stocks and ETFs, they can pluck shares out of thin air and give you a brand new share without impacting any existing shares currently owned. Versus closed-end funds, it's a closed system. There are only so many shares. So it's supply and demand principles. Uh, Popularity increases, value goes up, right? Popularity drops, share value goes down. Uh, and for whatever reason, I mean, there are some closed-end funds that are insanely popular for some reason. There are others that are not really highly sought after, but at the same time, they pay a really amazing dividend. And the kind of what we're looking at is we're looking to maximize the discount window so that when that discount closes, whether from dividend raise or from stock appreciation, as that dividend closes, then your overall uh, fund goes up in value, which doesn't really matter until you sell, right? But then as the stock continues to do well, or as the fund continues to do well, then you're just getting amazing dividends along the way. So where should you invest right now outside of closed-end funds? It really comes down to knowing your strategy. I know our strategy or strategies, but do you know yours? Are you buying low and selling high? Are you going to dollar cost your funds? Are you investing for the short term? Are you building something for the long term? What's your end goal? Are you hoping to retire on dividends? Are you hoping to supplement dividends? I read an article again today about a guy who does not use closed-end funds, but a guy who invests solely to pay his monthly bills. And he invested $100,000 to get a 3.5% yield on average that he could then use to pay his monthly bills. Well, he's paying capital gains. I mean, we all are on dividends. So he's paying capital gains on the dividends. He's taking out 3.5 to 4% a year to pay his bills, but that doesn't account for inflation. So his principal investment is devalued by inflation at almost 4% a year, and he's taking out 4% every year to pay his bills. So he's actually decreasing his ability. He's decreasing everything by about 8% a year just to pay his bills. But if he would use our closed-end fund system, I mean, you will blow the 4% out of the water. Our current portfolio generates 10% a year, right? And it's broken down by category, but I'll show that. I show our portfolio, I show our successes, I show our failures. I mean, that's the honest truth. So at 10% a year on 100 grand is 10 grand. And if you want it consistently, like if you want it monthly, that's fine. If you want it quarterly, if you want to have a dividend every single month, right? That's all possible. It just depends on your strategy and what you want to do. Are you willing to follow the herd and their single stock full advice? Or are you willing to forge a different path? Like you could listen to their advice and then use it to go a different way. So how does our strategy work? We use a strategy that I'll get to, unless you have a really good reason for breaking, which I'll also get into. We target monthly dividends, unless you find an amazing deal on a quarterly pair. Interesting what the cats are doing in the background. Specifically, we look at bonds and senior loans if you can get them cheap. According to Brett Owens and his Contrarian Outlook team is the one service I pay for. But Brett Owens has said the bond bull is back, and that's really good advice for our market space. So besides bonds, we look at senior loans, we look at real estate, we look at data management, we look at energy. But some of that isn't exactly on discount anymore. You can get it, maybe not in the bundle and maybe not in the package you're looking for, right? So bonds, senior loans, real estate would all take off with a Fed rate cut. I mean, everything would get better, or I guess everything has the promise or maybe the hope of getting better with a rate cut, but those three in particular. Energy infrastructure, look at oil, liquid natural gas, energy transfer, utilities. If you think of how much technology has invaded our world, it's really invaded the oil world as well, but it was already in the oil world. But all of that is actually a derivative of oil. Microchips, computers, the parts in your fridge, your tennis shoes. If you've got luxury vinyl floor, if you've got a gun safe, if you've got shelving, all of that can be tied to oil and its byproducts. So going completely no oil is a bad idea. I mean, you affect pacemakers and crutches and air conditioners and general energy production. Like everything is tied to oil. So to go completely oilless means that all of this other stuff would be impacted and either A, go up, or B, disappear. So oil is huge. So if you can find it on discount and find it cheap, right, it's worth your consideration. Then you look at data management in general, cloud tech in general. We have this giant technology boom, and that's great. And we can debate AI a different day, right? But that's great. But you still have to have the software and the storage capacity to manage that, because just because you have the cool new phone, right? The phone's got to be able to connect and exchange data back and forth. I talked to a kid at where I work. So he was watching a school appropriate video, and couldn't figure out why the video paused and had not run into the issue on his cell phone. So I told him to pause the video. And I mean, you probably know of this, right? Like I'm speaking to the crowd. But when that bar of progress, second bar that paces ahead, like you can see the pre-buffering of the video, he'd never realized that the videos buffer and that the computer is exchanging pauses when there's not that preloaded data happening fast enough. So he'd never really experienced that on a cell phone, only from watching videos, what he should be watching videos in class. Uh, you have to be able to account for the buffering. You can have amazing technology, but if it's slow and stagnant, it's not going to go well. I read an article that said Microsoft's new AI development, they're now using swimming pool sized second AI. So in with technology is this incredible increased need of energy on a failing grid, right? And then also an increased surge in utility need. I think Matthew McConaughey's new narrated data commercial is pretty interesting in that it really is a technology gold rush. So if you can find that gold mine and find it cheap, that's a really good option. I still think it's recession looming, and I see more and more articles on that every week. So in a potential recession environment, if we encounter uh, find funds that have a heavy preferred dividend share to where if the common share is cut, if the common share can't be paid, those preferred shares have to be paid and have to be paid first. So both of those, Fed's still teasing a rate reduction, which some people now say it's June. I mean, the same people that were saying they were going to cut rates 6 times this year are now saying maybe they won't cut them at all, right? But if they cut rates, I mean, a quarter percent mental game. It's a psychological issue. If they cut rates a quarter percent, that builds hope. But I don't know if it's going to happen soon. Okay, now that being said, if they cut rates, if they actually do cut rates a percent on the general house buy, but in the general perception and psychological world and what it does inside the bond and loan community, a 1% rate cut on them is huge for them. And it can be really big for us and how they pay dividends. State, all of them are still dogged. Now, the talk show guys are starting to say, hop on the bond wagon, but they're pushing ETFs, mutual funds, and stuff that you'll pay full value for, and you're not going to get a. And I think that presents a buying opportunity. It really does depend upon your strategy. There are several options in the portfolio or in the possibility list for the week. And I don't know if pick tomorrow if we were buying tomorrow, but there are several good options that it might be a time. So we'll see. So let's get into the data instead of me talking. their screen. And maybe you'll see a cat behind me, maybe not. So this is the closed-end fund master. Recently updated. It gets updated once a month, generally at the end of every month. And between cost, net asset value, and then I'll go through and make sure the dividends are correct. And I will update these targets. So, which things don't generally change a lot month to month unless the market widely swings one way or the other, at least on the targets. So everything is ranked in alphabetical order, but to make it make sense, we're going to rank it by dividend. It's late, and I'm saying the same stuff. We're going to rank it by discount, then we're going to rank it by target. And what that means. So triple asterisks are buy alerts, meaning the current discount is double, at least double the historical discount, and it's greater than the 5-year discount. Now, if it's a brand new company, that's not exactly true. Like it's hard to compare 1-year data to 20 to 30-year data. So there's a company on the list that's been around for a year that still operates at a significant discount, but it's not equal to the initial discount because the initial discounts when a company opens, right? Generally, they create generally it's a fair. This company got restructured. So on a 3-year company, cat's in the foreground now. If it's a 3-year company and the current discount is greater than the 3-year average, then it gets a triple asterisk. 2 asterisks is dollar cost, just based on what we own. And then single asterisk is we're tracking for any number of reasons. But because we're only paying attention to the significant differences, we're only targeting those funds. Or I guess we're only specifically going to look at these funds. Is recommended by somebody we trust, and everything in green we track for any number of reasons. So all of these are significant by discount. So our goal has been monthly payers. So we can eliminate these. And our goal has been 9% plus on the yields. Now, the exception is this one. That's kind of like you follow the strategy. Maybe an 8% change, if I remember from my pre-video research. So was it 48, 49, 51, 48. Then today on discount, if we look at price, I took my own advice. Okay, we bought HFRO at the beginning of March for 646, a little bit less than that. And since then, it's gone up about 50 cents. So, and I'm not saying we picked it, all that. I'm not saying that. That's not my point. It's just as that price increases, so long as they leave the dividend the same, that yield's going to go down. Right. And so long as that slowly trickles up, that'll also close the discount. If they jack the value too far too much, that'll increase the discount. Getting back. and then some private senior loans that are still just based on real estate. And for the real estate market, which is still pretty stagnant based on recent reports, not much movement. I mean, with the Fed keeping the rate the same, mortgage rates might have dropped nationally about 0.7, which is not a huge thing. Uh, excuse me. I mean, that's not a huge thing overall, but with a rate cut, that's promising. I mean, so long as the price continues to go up, that's great. If they could raise the dividend again, that'd be awesome. But in moving from bonds to real estate and senior loans, they cut the dividend in half. So it was this, which was amazing. But now it's this. But that said, I don't think we can leave it off the list. But it does mean we can eliminate these things. And then, ooh, pay tax equivalent dividends, meaning you're not taxed upon them. Oh, no, I didn't. There we are, up there. All right, so we can delete these. This is the one we're going to keep because for our tax bracket, that's the current tax-free dividend. It's just like it'll stay on the list, but at the same time, you're really paying for it. And I'll show you what I mean by that. But we can get rid of these. And then I like the Calamos name, but I'm not a huge fan of the overall straight consumer market. Like real estate is a consumer thing. Um, Anything cyclical, pillows and bedding, grills, like anything. The market, the straight consumer market as it is too volatile for me. Uh, so that leaves us with this. This one because it's the steepest discount, and what the discount means. So if we rank this by discount, cents for every dollar invested. So for this one, right, annual dividend is not for us. Now, yes, I get it. It pays a phenomenal yield. Okay. And yes, it will pay you consistently one time a year. That's not for us. We want monthly. So you're getting, we'll say it's 46. Okay. At 46% off, you're paying 54 cents for every dollar invested. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, for premium, you can pay premium for companies, right? That's paying $1.92. So everything is significant by discount. And I get they're all different, but they're all ranked according to the individual fund's discount. So we're not exactly comparing one discount to another. We're comparing that discount to the fund's historical data. So it's significant based on it, on the individual fund. It pays monthly. It pays 9% greater unless we have a reason to not disqualify it, which this one is a municipal bond. So on our tax bracket, it's that tax rate. So it's like tax-free money. And this one has the steepest discount. So, and it's packed of real estate. Like it's really just waiting for the Fed to cut rates. So what is the other stuff? NVXG really is just a technology heavyweight, but it hasn't been around that long. So at 16 and a half, it's close to the 1 year average. And maybe it's a great buy for you. It's not exactly a great buy for us because I don't quite know why this thing likes to jump around. I included this just so you can see our current values on Webull, but Webull does not track dividends. Maybe there's a better way. I'm sure there's a better way, but it's not working out that way. Market and yeah, I like raw authentic video. So this is our existing portfolio. We are 3% down overall just on price because Webull does not track dividends towards the value of a portfolio. But in reality, that's what we have total investment. That's our annual dividend, right? Our annual yield. This is what we've accumulated so far in dividends after, I want to say we started April 2021. And that's what we've received so far. Now, that's not exactly accurate because I don't have the final values for this month. I'm missing pretty much all the monthly dividends for this month. So that will go up between now and the next video. Uh, but of transparency, this is our portfolio. Uh, doing that snip that I, nope, okay, no account number. But still, you see everything. You get to see when we buy, how much we buy, whether we got a great deal or not. Um, I have improved our strategy as we've gone. Um, yeah. So getting back, that was last week's. This week. So for oh yeah, off track. Um, I still think there'll be a tech bubble to a degree. Technology has been on a technology boom, technology tear, and maybe it'll just keep going. But me, I think there'll be a bubble at some point, and that will hiccup and drop, and then that'll be a great time for us to buy. But for right now, it doesn't stay on our list. These are sister funds, and you can argue for and against me buying the same fund, the same first fund, right? It's the first fund, and that's the second fund. We bought the Z first, we bought the V second. I like the V better. Um, but it really is the same, pretty much the same fund. It's a little bit different on how they've allocated the funds, but it's pretty much the same fund. Yeah, but with the Fed looking to cut, like you could argue selling it now just to buy more of something else later prior to March dividends, so we can sell that. And I didn't sell it in advance because it's a partial share thing. It's an automatic dividend reinvestment plan. So I could sell it early just to have them credit our account and then just give us more partial shares. So it's just better to wait until the dividend post and that automatic transaction happens. And then we'll end up with more shares and then we can sell it at some point after that. So we have two upcoming fund sales, maybe third with NCZ. I don't know, but uh, this cat is nuts. Um, right, but with the other two stuff going on, I've just been kind of waiting on NCZ. Uh, FSCO we just bought. It's an all U.S. corporate bond service. I like that idea. These are global to where it's two-thirds global, one-third US in both funds. But I like the constancy of being in just one economic environment. This plays into everything on our hit list: real estate, energy infrastructure, and bonds. And I mean, it's all floating rate senior loans. Plus, they've started their own closed-end fund portfolio. Now they're closed double of everything else on the list for just one of this. That's one. The other is I'm not a huge BlackRock fan, and they've got BlackRock in their portfolio, and not just like a random occurrence of BlackRock, but they've got a lot of BlackRock in their portfolio. So it's primarily municipal. Well, it's all municipal stuff. It has to be. It's a municipal bond fund, but they've got a lot of BlackRock stuff in there, and that's really not me. Um, so this is what we currently have. Uh, None because we don't own it yet. Um, but what would I pick if I were investing tomorrow? And yeah, that is right. I mean, that's accurate based on the data from Webull earlier today. So what would we pick if we were investing tomorrow? Everything from overhyped fear to there are some problems written by the same author of the article. Like in one issue, I think everybody's fears are overblown. A different issue, yeah, there are some problems. Like which is it? And then I've heard another mixed review from a different author about that company, and it's really on where they invested in the real estate and how the company itself is managed by a guy who seems to know what he's doing, but um, he also plays a key role in a real estate company. I believe that he started, and yeah, that sounds like a conflict of interest, but it also sounds, based on how the company's been doing, it also sounds like they've been doing pretty well. So um, now it sounds like I'm waffling to myself. So if this is us and we're investing tomorrow, I like the idea of rounding this out, and I like the idea of rounding that out. And if you want, we can do it this way. Equals that number minus the sum of but we could pick up both of those, and that would be the existing annual dividend. We could pick up, this is what I was saying, so we could pick up 50 here, and don't pay attention to that number right now. So we could pick up 50 for almost 800. We could pick up 50 for a little more than 800. Right. And then you can be like, yeah, but that one's tax free. Right. But I don't like everything in the portfolio. And you're asking me to pay under $6 for something that's 15 bucks. Now, true, that was clipping along in the 20s prior to COVID and shutdown. This one's brand new. I mean, we can go back and forth on strategy and overall means and overall everything all day. The overall cost of something, like the day-to-day stuff, I don't track stuff day to day. I look weekly unless I'm looking to buy a specific stock, and then I'll track it for a couple of days individually. But the up and down day to day doesn't bother me. And to be honest, doesn't really matter unless it regardless of what the market does. So it would matter at some point if somebody sold it, but until then, we're just reaping the dividend. Um, let's see what else we could look at. I'm not trying to waffle, just trying to give you options so you can see them instead of hearing me talk about them. So we could do, no, too much. That'll be close, right? Same company investment. We could come back and pick up, it's not a portfolio in a can, right? But it's a nice mix of things for the existing market: real estate, energy infrastructure, and bonds, plus some data management to a degree, right? So that gives us a fat dividend. They cut theirs a little bit. It used to be that. Uh, average, I believe it is. This is what I look at when I look at our stocks. So 729 would be a dollar cost average move. We buy a chunk, right? It would decrease our overall pricing. So plus the existing amount, right, divided by 300. We would drop it 29 cents. Dollar cost average. These are dollar cost average. Now we're not at 100, or around 80. Right now we're trying to be under that number. Now we're around 70. Yep, now we're around 60. So if we want the best outright dividend, if we're going to completely eliminate all of that, well, it would be more than what we have. And I do. I like sets of 50. Loans plus their own closed-end fund. You've got kind of like a mini portfolio in a can. You've got bonds, bonds, and bonds. Just depends on where you want those bonds. You've got a municipal bond company, but honestly, I know it sounds weird, but 15 bucks is a bit rich compared to the rest. I can buy so much more and get so much more out of the others. But I get that it's a tax-free investment, or it's got tax-free dividends. And then this one is all real estate. So I find it hard to pass up, and this is just me, I find it hard to pass up evening that out. And I would go with US over global bonds just because, I mean, we already have plenty of global bonds, plus more that you haven't seen, or maybe more that you saw in our portfolio that aren't on this list. But also, I like the stability of one economy, but I have a hard time ignoring the bond bull in the sense of, I mean, that bull's in a china shop. And if the Fed cuts rates, that bull is going to wreck the place. June or later. Um, I know they want a strong economy front as we head into the next presidential election because they want to keep their jobs. Now, does the Fed manipulate the economy? Yes. Does the Fed manipulate the dollar? Yes. Does the Fed manipulate the value of all of these things? Yes. And it follows with Kiyosaki's investment advice of buy what the Fed can't print. Okay, the Fed printed a ton of money in a really short amount of time. Like 40% of all currency currently in existence in the United States was printed in the last 4 years. That's obscene. And they had the gall to come out on TV and say, we have no idea why it happened. We didn't know that printing a shit ton of money would increase inflation, meaning the devaluing of the dollar. BS. BS. Okay. And now we employ the same people who caused the problem to fix the problem. Okay. They want to present the best possible economy heading into the next presidential election so that regardless of who wins, they keep their jobs. Right. So if they can sell the public on hey, we're doing a good job, we cut rates, that's much better than you should trust this more because I mean, like we haven't cut rates, but we haven't raised rates either, right? So for them to cut rates even a little bit, that builds hope back into the market overall. But that sets all of this stuff up well to perform well now as well as perform well later. So I find it hard to ignore the bull. The real estate market, both things, bonds and real estate, are things the Fed can't print. They can impact it, but they can't print it. So I would even this out. I would even that out. And then as we sell, we have two funds up for sale, maybe a third. As we sell more and then look to reinvest, then we'll see what options lay in front of us at that turning. So that's what I got for the week: real estate and bonds. Uh, Sorry it took so long to kind of hash through and talk out, and it took a while because quite honestly, I did not plan as well for this video as I did for the others. Generally, I pre-screen funds, so it helps me wrap my head around things. I update our list, I read all the financial emails, I sit on stuff and really think about things. I review what I've talked about in the past. I contemplate where we all things over for at least 12 to 24 hours. And today I did that today. And generally I pre-screen the videos, and not in the sense that I record them early. That's not my point. That defeats the whole point of being authentic. It makes sense with strategy. And I didn't do that today because it's not quite midnight, but it's close. And for me to do that and rationalize it would honestly just take more time. So you got to see my rationalization of things and process and seeing the summary of things on video. So that's what I got for the week. And since I do read the comments, let's see. Since I do read the comments, let me share my screen again. General, I want to say this is 90%. Tickers are a little bit easier to read. And then also, these are my picks for the week: HFRO and then FCO. And then honestly, after this week, if we bought tomorrow and that went to 300, I don't, I mean, we could buy the best discount every single week. And I think that might be okay. But it's Warren Buffett's comment of, I mean, diversity for the sake of diversity doesn't help. It's like Bilbo Baggins. It's spreading butter over too much bread. There's just not enough to go around. You're not really helping yourself, right? We want targeted diversity, and based on Kiyosaki, into things the feds can't invest, or the feds can't print: bonds, real estate, oil. Uh, so, I mean, is there some leeway in there to a degree? Yeah, I think there is. Data management. Uh, but already had 300 shares of it. If we had 300 shares of it, yeah, we would. Would we pick it? Maybe, maybe not. Really just depends on the market data every week and how we think the market looks now and how we think it looks next year, 5 years, 40 years down the road. So those are the picks for the week. If you like the content, consider subscribing to my channel. Hit the like button. It really does actually help. It helps push videos out to people who wouldn't normally see them. is where I talk about the entire 12 steps to financial freedom. So remember, as you face the week, we're about to hit the new, the first month in the next quarter, however you want to say it. April 1st, we're a third of the way through the year. Okay, if you talking on a laptop, okay, I'm not talking about that. If you know where you are financially and you know where you want to go financially, and you envision that trip as a boat. I mean, you could use whatever boat you want. I like the pirate ship. Like, uh, maybe not the Black Pearl, right? But the really cool pirate ship. And maybe not like Davy Jones encrusted pirate ship, but you get the idea. Okay, so if our financial journey is a pirate ship and we're sailing the sea in hope of reaching, with purpose of hope of reaching where we want to be, where our dreams exist, right? Even after you get off that desert island where X marks the spot, you still have to keep journeying after that, right? That's not the end of your journey, end of all be all life. You still have life after that. Okay. But if you have the ship and you're on the ship, that makes you captain. That boat will go wherever the winds send it, unless you captain your ship and direct its course. Your boat can drop anchor, and if it's not actually attached to a rock or something, you can just drag anchor with severe winds. You can run aground. You can dock at port. You can do a lot of different things. Or you can pilot your ship and you can captain your ship and you can direct its course. You can be forced into port because you don't want to weather the storm, right? You can turn in circles. You can be pushed backwards. You can sway side to side. You can ride the right, all the stuff, right? We could do metaphors all day. Okay, my advice is captain your ship. Take control, especially your investments. Take control of your investments because if you can manage your investments, not me, I don't want to manage your investments. I want to help you. I want to teach you how to use closed-end funds to your advantage. At one point, yes, I want to offer some type of membership-based service for access to that closed-end fund master. But at the same time, I don't want your money to do your investments. I mean, one, I'm not a financial advisor. Okay. But two, I want you to be able to do that. Stop paying other people to manage your money, right? Like, why pay somebody, even if they're taking the head off the beer? I mean, they're taking aspects of your profits or your losses, depending on who invests your money, but they're taking part of your portfolio value monthly or yearly to invest your money in a way that's not exactly helping. So instead of, doing the 60-40 thing that's broken, or the uh, employing the 4% rule, which is based on $1 million and not, I mean, most people aren't going to have 1 million in the market. And I've done videos on that. So look back at past videos where I talk about the broken 4% rule or the broken 60-40 rule, stocks to bonds. Um, Closed-end funds present a much better option for you than a lot of other investment vehicles. And whether you take my advice or not, if you take on the challenge of doing your own investing, you will save yourself money by not paying somebody else to invest your money. And it'll make it more meaningful. If you're tasked with safeguarding and growing your money, you'll do the work, do the research to make the best possible investment you can for your money so it grows. And sometimes you fail. And I'll be the first to tell you, sometimes you fail and you learn from it and you do better the next time. Right. But when it comes down to blame, like, ask your investment guy, hey, where'd my money go? Oh, this happened or that happened. In your case, it would be like, what did I do wrong? I did this, and then you learn from it. Okay. But stop paying somebody else to do the job that you can do. Because when we started this, I had no experience in the market. in April 2021, almost 3 years ago, we started. And yes, it's been a learning journey. It's been fun. Uh, the Contrarian Outlook team, we did some reading beforehand. The Contrarian Outlook team taught me how to sift closed-end funds, and got to the point where reading their weekly emails was like I wanted more. They're cherry picking funds, and I was like, I want the rest of the funds. I want to see why that one fund is so much better than all the others. So, since we're all home and not going anywhere anytime soon, I made that closed end fund master. And I had the time and I had the ability to write down every fund and put in all the data. And then it just became like I had to dig in and learn more. I had to because it was interesting. For a guy who likes data and then likes to give input on the data and then likes to render an opinion for myself and others, like I like correlating data. Talking about that and then doing these videos about that has been very fun, very challenging, but just very fun to explain my logic of why we're using the system or why we're using the strategy. But then it works overall because as the captain on our ship, me being able to explain our logic, or me being able to explain my logic and how we're investing our money and what we're investing in is very important, because if I can't explain it, then it doesn't make sense. If what you're doing makes sense to you, but then you try to talk to somebody else about it and it just sounds like a garbled phone message, then it doesn't make sense. You've got to figure out how to say it and figure out how to communicate it and have it make sense to somebody else. And that's not to say you're going to manipulate somebody to think like you. It's not that. It's whether it's stocks or your budget or your plans for retirement or whatever else you're doing financially, buying houses, buying properties, buying land, flipping cars, opening a Turo business, like whatever it is you're doing as the investment, right? Or just general financial decision, you have to be able to explain that to somebody else and have them understand it. Now, they may not agree with you. That's not the point. It's the point. Like you want to be challenged, but at the same time, them understanding and being like, hey, that's a great idea. That's irrelevant to a degree. You have to be able to take your idea and explain it to somebody and justifiably explain things and then go, I understand what you're telling me. I completely disagree with you, or I agree with you, or that's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that before. But they've got to be able to, they have to be able to understand it, right? Otherwise, if you explain it and they go, I don't understand it, then either you don't get your concept or you can't talk well, right? Or you can't communicate well. So you have to be able to communicate your ideas. And this is great for me because I get to do those things. I get to collect data and sift it and process it and think about it more and then talk about it. And then if it doesn't make sense on video, then you'll see me at there are points when it's like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Like it helps me justify our decisions. And in the same at the same time, you get to see my data and my research and hear my opinion and then figure out if it's a great decision for you or not. Right. So I'm here to give you options, but I'm also here to just help teach you about closed-end funds, but also show you that you can run your own portfolio where you can captain your ship and take over that control and stop paying somebody else to do the work for you. It's not as hard as they make it seem, but because they make it seem hard, you entrust your money to somebody else because they know things better than you do. That if you learn a little bit, you'll find out that you can do a damn good job. So take control, take ownership, be the captain on your ship, and take over the control of your finances. Figure out where you are financially, figure out where you want to go financially. And then it becomes your job to figure out how to get from point A to point B to point C, right? From where you are to where you want to be to where you want to be after that. Captain your ship. And then whatever you have planned, whatever you have in front of you for this week and beyond the week, make it happen. It will not happen on its own. Make it happen. You can do it. You can. I'll be the first to tell you, you'll make mistakes and it'll be hard, right? But at the same time, it's fun and it gets easier. It's not so much it gets easier, it's you get better, right? If the challenge is always a challenge, it's not that the challenge gets easier, like you're reducing the game mode off of hard mode. It's not that. It's that you get better and therefore the challenge gets easier because you improve. Okay, so captain your ship, and then whatever your dreams are, make them happen because you can do it and because it's fun. And because if you don't do it, if you don't make your dreams happen, if they just exist in fantasy land, then they stay a fantasy. Make your dreams a reality. Well, have a great week. Talk to y'all later. Bye bye.